Hey everyone, welcome back to Trip Tales. Today's trip is a special one. It's a one-on-one mom and son birthday getaway to San Diego, packed with the Hotel del Coronado, San Diego Zoo, ocean views, and beautiful West Coast sunsets. If you're craving a trip that feels equal parts adventure and luxury, this episode is for you. Before we dive in, my current favorite travel getup is the Comfort Travel Essentials hoodie. The zippered pockets are clutch for passports, AirPods, or your iPhone, and the weight of it makes it feel like a cozy hug. Pro tip, a bunch of colors are on pre-order right now, which gets you an extra discount. And my 15% off stacks on top of all sale pricing, putting most of these colors in the $39 to $49 range. The link is in the show notes. Okay, let's fly to San Diego with my guest, Elizabeth. Welcome, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
I start every episode with a rapid fire get to know you. So tell everyone where you live, what you do, and about your family.
Yeah, sure. My name's Elizabeth. I live in New Iberia, Louisiana, which is a small town in South Central Louisiana with my husband and my three boys. They're 12, 7, and 9. Oh, and I'm a CPA. I'm a certified public accountant.
Amazing. Three boys, and they're similar ages to mine. So I totally get this coveted one-on-one time, which is so hard to find in regular life. So bravo for making this happen. You went to San Diego in October 2025, so you quite literally just got back. So this all
Yeah,
should be very fresh in your
I'm
mind.
very fresh.
So let's start with why you booked this trip to San Diego.
Well, as a mom of three boys, I don't often get a chance for one-on-one time with each of them. So I just really wanted to be very intentional. And, as each of the years pass by, I keep looking back and say, man, I can't believe it's been another year. So we decided to book this one-on-one trip with my oldest, with the intention to continue this tradition with my other children as well. So I allowed Cole to pick where he wanted to go. Our parameters were within the United States, and we had to be able to travel for a weekend trip. So he didn't necessarily choose a destination. He more, in a way, chose what he wanted to do on the trip. So he's very into nature. He's curious about things, and he's like, I want to go tide pooling. And I was like, okay, that's kind of random, kind of strange, but we can look into that. We'll make it work. So after research and kind of looking at the time of the year that we were looking to travel and our time frame, because we wanted to travel over fall break, we settled on San Diego, and I'm very happy with the decision, and we had a great time.
I love that his main priority was tide pooling. That's like
Yeah.
so cute and so all boy.
Uh-huh.
Are there specific areas in San Diego that are known for tide pooling? Because this was new information to me.
Yeah. So I kind of started with like a national park Facebook page that I had put some feelers out on where would be a good location for a long weekend with my son. And San Diego was actually recommended because there is a location in La Jolla, which is like northern portion of San Diego that's really well known for its tide pools. There's actually a map location on Google Maps that says La Jolla tide pools. And there are other locations as well that you can tide pool at, but I figured, okay, if we have at least one destination where we can dedicate an afternoon to, and then from there we can explore further, then I think it would be a successful trip.
Perfect. Okay, so let's talk about how you got there. How did you get from Louisiana to San Diego?
We flew from New Orleans to Phoenix to San Diego. On the way back, we flew San Diego straight to New Orleans. We had no issues. We landed on time and were able to get to the hotel with no issues at all.
Awesome. So you did land a little late, you said in your notes, about 10 p.m. So how did you get from the airport to your hotel? And tell us about the amazing place you stayed.
So, first of all, we stayed at the Hotel del Coronado, which is a destination in itself. When I was looking at potential places for us to stay, I'm not a big credit card point person, but I do like to take advantage of the points that I have to offset the cost of the trip. So I was actually able to book flights on Southwest while using our what are they called?
Chase
The
Ultimate Rewards.
Chase Ultimate Rewards points. I was able
Yep.
to book Southwest points on Chase Ultimate Rewards points. And I was like kind of looking for Hyatts or something that I could use to transfer the points to kind of offset the cost of the trip. But when I really like kind of got down into it, I was like, man, like if we're going to make this trip, I really want it to be an experience for us. And it's just so beautiful. The only other kind of downside I was kind of concerned about with the hotel was the fact that it wasn't very central to everything that we were looking to do. So that did require us to rent a car. So we rented a car from the airport. We drove from the airport to the hotel that evening. And then we also self-parked. So we were able to kind of walk and get our car and just kind of take off and do what we wanted to do each day. The great part about having the car was that Coronado Island is really almost, in my opinion, pretty self-sufficient on its own. There is a grocery store there. There was a Walgreens. There are a ton of restaurants. So we could run up to Walgreens, grab those things that we didn't pack in our carry-ons. We went to the grocery store and got a few little snacks, things like that, and didn't have to rely like on an Uber or anything like that. I was really kind of anxious about driving in San Diego by myself, with just my son, but surprisingly, I felt it was very easy to navigate. It was great to have the car. I really enjoyed it. And we ended up getting a Ford Bronco. I had originally booked a standard SUV or intermediate SUV. When we show up, there's like no cars left. And I was like, oh my gosh, the person in front of me was crying. The person on the side of me was like calling another car rental agency. It's like, we need another car. So finally I get to the counter and she's like, well, all we have left are these Ford Broncos. And I'm like, that's fine with me. Maybe if I would have been with my entire family where we have all 5 of us with all the luggage and all the things, I would have been a little more adamant or that we needed a different vehicle, or maybe we would have like gone next door to budget or something like that. But it was great. We had a great time in the Bronco.
Yeah, a Bronco's fun for you and your son.
Yeah, it was really fun. We were cruising with the windows down and we played our music. So we had a great time.
Was it easy enough to drive?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I drive a Yukon XL at home.
Same.
So I
same.
Once I got into that, I'm like, well, okay, it's fine. Anything smaller than the bus is.
I know. I'm so used to driving it now that I have like no problem. If I ever park, I usually try to like park at least where there's like 2 spots open or like against another car, like helps. But like my husband or other people will drive it and they're like, how do you drive this? And I'm like, I don't even think about it. I can like parallel park that thing now.
Yeah. So I was a little concerned because I did read ahead of time that parking is tight everywhere you go in San Diego.
Yeah,
so
I could see that.
Kind of a big vehicle for me to park. But once I got into it, it was fine.
Perfect.
But, getting from the airport to Coronado was such a breeze. I mean, like literally you get on the interstate. I think you go maybe 5 miles and then you take an exit and you cross over the bridge.
Perfect. And did you have to pay to self-park?
Yes. It was about $60. Nothing's cheap there.
$60 a day?
Yes. The valet was like $80.
Oh my gosh, that is very expensive.
Yeah, it's very expensive. But to me, it was worth it to have the vehicle. But honestly, if we would have been there, like my husband and myself, or we had like little kids, we were just doing a destination trip to the hotel, we really wouldn't have even needed a car because you could really do everything at the hotel.
Yeah. But you guys had like adventures planned, so it made sense to have a car. I know you showed up at night, so it probably was dark when you arrived, but let's tell everybody about this iconic hotel. I haven't stayed there. I went to San Diego like 12 years ago for a big family trip, and we just spent a day there. We rented the little bikes that you can go up and down or whatever they're called, where they're like 4-seaters. We just kind of explored and walked around, and I was amazed. So tell everyone what this hotel is like.
So you pull in, and it's just like lit up with these white lights everywhere, and it's just breathtaking. And we couldn't see the water, driving in, but you could still kind of hear the ocean. And we went straight to the parking garage, so we didn't get the grand entrance, but we went down to the parking garage. We brought our luggage up. You walk into the lobby, and it's all wood. The whole main hotel is made out of wood, and it's this dark wood, and it was recently restored. I think within the last year, they went through a multi-million-dollar renovation. So everything's been like meticulously restored to its historical state. And you just walk into the counter and there's these key hooks in the back of the reception counter. And my son was like, well, Mom, what's all those key hooks for? And I was like, well, I'm assuming, back when this hotel was first in existence, that you actually had a room key to open the door as opposed to, the swipe card. And he was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. So as soon as you walk up, you just start smelling the fragrance that they have all around the hotel. The gardens are beautiful. There's bird of paradise, banana trees, area, all the tropical plants that you wish you, well, I wish I could grow in my yard, but they all end up dying, that thrive in this environment in San Diego. We stayed in the section called the Views. So there's like five, I call it neighborhoods throughout the hotel that you can stay in. The main hotel itself is called the Victorian. Those rooms are all original wood. They've been restored, but we stayed in the area called the Views. That's more of like a hotel structure. It's kind of off to the side. It's a little more budget friendly, but the room was definitely big enough. Honestly, if they would allow it, we probably could fit all five of my family in there if they allowed like a rollaway bed or pack and play. Definitely big enough for like two adults, two children, and a pack and play for sure.
How did you figure out what area or what neighborhood, as they call it, to book a room in? How did you figure that out?
Well, I worked with a travel agent, and really it was budget dependent as well because each each neighborhood kind of varies in budget. So
Got
I
it.
was looking to stay within a certain price range, so that's why we decided on the Views.
Okay.
There's also this area called the Cabanas, which is like right off of the pool, and there's like kind of like a beach boardwalk, and all of those rooms have either a view or a patio that opens up into either the beach boardwalk or to like the pool area, the garden areas that have these like fire pits and stuff. I'm like, oh, if we come back, maybe we'll stay there because that looked
Ye-
really nice. Because we'd walk by and people were like sitting on their patio having coffee with the fire pit around them. It was just so cozy looking, and it's just something to maybe think of for next time. And then the beach club and the shore house, those were more kind of exclusive private residences, not to say private residences, but one was like club access only. So maybe you have to like be a member to access this area where you can come back, recurring times. And then the other one, I think maybe it was like we rented more like a condo as opposed to a hotel room. And both of those areas had their own private pool. And I think one of them even had their own private dining area. So that was very exclusive. We stayed to the common area of
Yeah.
the views, but either overall, it was phenomenal. My concern of being away from everything actually turned into a perk because, we took off each day on our little adventures and we came back to the hotel and we really felt like we were on vacation and not necessarily like back at the hotel in the middle of the city on a trip. So we were able to come back and, kind of relax, sit by the pool, have a drink, all the things that you do on vacation when you're not really concerned about, having to drive to the next location and things like that.
Amazing. I'm sharing a picture of this iconic hotel. It's basically on the beach. It's so old school and iconic looking, like white wood with the red rooftop. I'm sure so many of you listening have heard of this hotel or been to this hotel or at least seen photos of it. I did want to just read the history really quick because this is a very historic hotel and I just have like a teeny little blurb. But it said the Hotel del Coronado was built in 1888 and is now a National Historic Landmark. Initially a fishing and hunting resort, the hotel quickly became a popular destination for the wealthy, with a long history of hosting presidents, royalty, and celebrities, including Marilyn Monroe. So it's definitely an iconic spot, and I'm glad that you guys got to spend a few nights there. You mentioned that you had breakfast every day at the Veranda, which was included in your stay. So how was this, and does everybody get this included in their stay?
I think it was the room package that we purchased. I think it is available through a private booking, but like I said, I used a travel agent and she had it added it as a perk. Eventually, I think you pay for it either way, whether you book it without it, maybe your rate's a little higher. But it was nice to be able to have that as an option every single day. The first day we kind of slept in and we just showed up for breakfast about 9:30 and there was about a 20-minute wait. And that was fine because we really didn't have much planned for the day. We were heading to the zoo, but we didn't necessarily have a certain time we had to be somewhere. So we just kind of walked along the beach and checked things out because we had really just arrived the night before. And I was like, let's go down in case there's a wait. Let's get our name on the wait list. And it was great. I mean, within 15, 20 minutes, they called us. The next morning was Saturday. So we arrived at the same time. Our wait was a little bit longer, about 30 minutes. And then on Sunday, when we got there, about the same time, it was about a 45-minute wait. So we decided ultimately that day to just grab coffee on the road because we had our kayak reservations for that day and we're kind of anxious about like, logistics, getting where we needed to be and not being there on time. But the last day we were there before we left for our flight, we woke up at 8 or 7:30, which was the time that the restaurant opened, and kind of got in line and was able to be seated immediately. But overall, I mean, if you're not in a rush to get anywhere, it's definitely a great option. It was a buffet, but they had some special order things as well. Overall, the buffet options were great. I love like smoked salmon and cream cheese, and they had whatever you really could want. They had an omelet station, and then they also had like a carving station. It was good food, and the views were beautiful. The whole restaurant was outside, which, I mean, coming from South Louisiana, that's not something we see too often because of the mosquitoes and the humidity and the weather. So we were just kind of able to enjoy the views of the ocean and the beach every morning to start our day.
Awesome. Yeah, it sounds like you got to enjoy the views and the ocean every morning and every evening. So before we get into everything that you guys did, you had mentioned that the evenings, there's also a fabulous spot to watch the sunset and kind of wind down after your day. So tell us a little bit about the sun deck at this hotel before we move on to the things that you guys did.
So there is this kind of rooftop bar lounge area called the Sun Deck. I mean, there are multiple bars, multiple restaurants. It's all very family friendly. But this one place is elevated with a glass balcony around it. So your view is really uninhibited. And it just overlooks Point Loma, which is, well, the beach, the ocean, and then you can see Point Loma in the Kelsey's showing a picture of it right now. So I'm sitting at the bar right here. My son, actually, this was after our first day at the zoo, and he's like, I want some quiet time. So he went to the room and kind of played on his tablet for about an hour while I sat and watched the sunset for a bit. But in the corner, there's this kind of peninsula that goes out. It's called Point Loma, and the sunset right behind it each day. And people would come up there and just sit up there and watch the sunset and then go about their afternoon or their evening because it was just so beautiful and iconic. And I was really thinking about it, and I was like, man, this is like the first time I've ever seen a sunset from the West Coast before, because I've never been to California. I'm like, wow, we're the last people in the country to be seeing, not the last people, but some of the last people in the country to be seeing this sunset. So it was just really neat. They served like a full menu all day. Kids were welcome. And you didn't have to have reservations. It was really huge. You kind of just sat down, picked a spot wherever you wanted, which was really nice. Because me personally, I don't like to be tied to a reservation sometimes. Like, I just want to kind of go with the flow and see how I'm feeling. So to be able to walk up to somewhere and just kind of walk in, and if there's a spot, great, you can sit down. That was excellent.
Yeah, this looks like an amazing place to end the day. And it's kind of like lively and there's a good vibe, but then you get the sunset through that glass. And even no matter where you're sitting, sometimes at places like this, you have to be up against the edge to really get a good view. But you can tell that with the way they did the glass, you can almost sit anywhere and still really enjoy that view. I can see what you're talking about out there, that little like peninsula jutting out, and how pretty that is. I think one of the main reasons you are out there, and probably anybody listening with kids, if they're going to San Diego, are going to prioritize the San Diego Zoo because it's one of the best in the country. So I think day one was San Diego Zoo Day. So tell us about getting there.
It was such a quick trip from the hotel to the zoo. So the hotel is on an island, so you have to kind of drive through an island, and the island is a residential area as well. So there are these homes, there's restaurants. Like I said earlier, there's a grocery store, a Walgreens, there's a Chase Bank, there's a gas station. And so you kind of have to drive through the residential area and then cross over the Coronado Bridge that connects Coronado Island to downtown San Diego. I think it's the San Diego Bay that you're crossing over. What's really unique about this bridge is that it's 5 lanes across, and they move the center lane based off of the flow of traffic for the day. So you could be leaving the island and it's 2 lanes, but the other side's 3 lanes. But it all depends on the time of the day of how the traffic is flowing, which I thought that was really kind of interesting. But this bridge, there's no shoulder to it at all. So that was kind of nerve-wracking. So driving in, it wasn't so bad because it was dark and I was just, watching the road, driving in. But driving out the very first morning, my son's looking over the edge. He's like, Mom, that's a real far way down. I'm like, I know. Let's look forward. Let's go. So really,
10 and 2.
Yeah. So the bridge was kind of nerve-wracking, but it was all good. I kind of got used to it after 1 or 2 trips across. To get to the zoo from the island, you really get on the interstate and then take the first exit off of the interstate. So it was really great. I didn't have to worry about any traffic. There's tons of free parking, which is really hard to come by in San Diego. Everywhere you go, you have to pay to park. October is Kids Free San Diego or something like that. Because October is kind of one of their slower months. They have this initiative in place where kids obtain free access to the zoo, all the museums, the aquarium, all of these things. So I didn't have to actually pay for Cole's admission into the zoo. We show up and they're like, oh, well, he's free. I'm like, okay, great.
That is great news for all of us that have fall breaks. Everybody who has a
Oh,
fall break in October.
yeah, because I mean, the admission is about $75. I think for children, it might have been for $65, which honestly, the 65 per child was worth it. It was an amazing day. So you walk into the zoo and you almost feel like you're walking into Disney World. There's this like double-decker bus that you could ride on that takes you on a tour of the whole zoo that kind of tells you like where each of the animals are and a little bit about each of the animals. Cole, my son, wasn't interested in doing that. Looking back, I kind of wish we would have hopped on that right away, kind of taken like the high level tour of the zoo and then maybe decided like wherever you wanted to go from there. But I was kind of letting him lead the way. I didn't want to do something he wasn't interested in doing. And that's included in your general admission as well. And then there's this, I think they call it the Sky Safari, but it's this thing that kind of takes you from the bottom to the top. And so the zoo is actually like in a cavern, not a cavern, but like it's at the
Canyon?
bottom, a canyon, exactly. I feel
Yeah.
like it's kind of like in a canyon. So like the base of the zoo is at the bottom and then the back of the zoo is at the top. So it's a lot of up and down walking. So we took the Sky Safari tram from the bottom to the top and then we walked down and then we did it one more time and then like kind of walked down the other way.
Oh,
So we didn't
nice.
really go in with much of a plan. I had Cole kind of pick out two or three of his top animals that he wanted to see. And then we kind of went from there. So it was
What
really
were the
great.
priorities? What were his favorite animals he had to see?
He wanted to see the fennec fox, which is kind of random. I didn't even know what that was until we got there, but it was really kind of neat. I wanted to see the polar bear, which I thought that
Oh,
was really
yeah.
interesting. I had never seen a polar bear in real life before, and it was really, really cool. They actually have grizzly bears too. There's a little plaque in front. These grizzly bears were removed, I think, from Yellowstone. They had become a nuisance, so rather than euthanizing them, they moved them into the zoo. So that was really neat to see. He loves reptiles, so we went to the reptile house, which I could be okay not seeing. We saw the panda. We need to see the panda because there's only so many zoos in the country that has a panda. So actually, the view that Kelsey's showing right here, it's a above view of it. So this is not the view that you see when you walk through the panda exhibit. So the panda exhibit is a thing. I mean, there's a line, there's a queue for it. You walk in, someone takes your picture, and you get like a little postcard. Like they love their pandas. There's a panda gift shop. As soon as you walk out, there's a panda stuffy and all the things. So when we walked through, we really couldn't see the panda very well. And you can't linger because it's such a line. So we kind of saw the back end of it and we're like, okay, yeah, great. There's the panda. We came, we saw, checked it off the list. But this view right here was on this bridge that cuts across the canyon. And we were able to look down and see it. So we were walking and people were kind of congregating along the edge of this bridge. And I was like, oh, what are they looking at? And there it is. The panda was very active. So we were able to really kind of get a good view of the panda and see him like eating its bamboo and stuff. And it was really, really neat. I'm glad we got a good picture and we were actually able to really see the panda.
Very cool.
And there's multiple restaurants. I mean, there's sit-down restaurants that you can make reservations for. There's on-the-go stuff like a pretzel. They sell alcohol there actually too. But we stopped at this one place and got like a little hummus pack and a little snack just to kind of hold us over because we had actually that night we had dinner reservations for a steakhouse, so we didn't want to fill up too much.
I remember when we went to the San Diego Zoo, it was just so like everything felt so natural and like all the pathways are kind of like windy and you just never feel like you're in this like massive zoo. It's so well done. It is massive. I do remember we took some sort of a ride. I don't remember if it was a double decker or a train, but I do feel like there are a lot of ways to get from like one side to the other. But yeah, I remember it being like an amazing, amazing zoo. I'd love to bring my kids there because, like I said, when I went, my daughter was very young and we haven't been back.
Yeah, and I was really surprised because I asked Cole, I said, Cole, what was your favorite thing of the whole trip? And he said the zoo. And to me, to see all of the rest that San Diego had to offer was phenomenal. So, but I mean, I guess I'm gonna have to look at it through the eyes of a child and what they think is amazing.
So you guys had a great day at the zoo. And then did you head back to the hotel?
We had planned to maybe do one more museum that afternoon. So the zoo is located in Balboa Park, and there are quite a few museums within that area. So it's like, well, if we're going to do these museums, let's knock it out today. And he was really interested in one called the Natural History Museum. And after the zoo was over, I was like, well, cool, you want to try to check out the museum? He's like, no, I'm good. Let's just go back to the hotel. I'm like, okay, here we go. So we went back to the hotel, which is perfectly fine. I think he was kind of anxious to go check out the beach, and he went swimming that afternoon. I sat by the pool and ordered a drink and let him swim. He enjoyed swimming. He thought it would be more fun if he had a friend with him or a sibling. So he swam for a little while, and that's when he decided to go up to the room and kind of take a little rest. I went up, watched the sunset, and then we had a dinner reservation that evening at a place called Cowboy. It's a steakhouse. It came highly recommended by multiple people in San Diego. It's not a like white tablecloth restaurant where you have multiple waiters and the bread basket and the wine glasses and all the things, but it's a very, very nice steakhouse. The steak was delicious. He loves steak, so I was trying to find some place special to take him for his birthday. So we had
I
steak.
love that.
Yeah, we split a little filet, which is plenty of food for us.
So Cowboy Star, did you have to drive there from the hotel?
I took an Uber
you
that
took an
night.
Uber.
Yeah,
Okay,
because I didn't want to have to find a place to park. So yeah, we Ubered there and back.
What's the vibe? Because so many steakhouses do have that very formal white tablecloth, which is fun for like a nice occasion. But with a kid, what's kind of the vibe in this Cowboy Star steakhouse?
So it was kind of loud, honestly, but there was like a bachelor party right behind us. There was a bunch of men having drinks, having steak and stuff like that. On the side of us, there was a couple that they were like celebrating some type of anniversary or something. It was a small restaurant. I don't know if you've ever been to like a steakhouse in New Orleans, but you walk in and it's just like sprawling, and there's tables everywhere, and there's waiters running around, and it's just like people everywhere. It was kind of quaint, and there's actually a bar that you can make reservations at where you can sit, it's like a coveted reservation supposedly. When I was kind of doing a little research on the restaurant, you can sit at this bar and watch them prepare the meal, and they serve you straight from the grill. I made reservations probably a month and a half in advance, so somebody had showed up when we were there and like, well, you need a reservation. So they weren't accepting any walk-ins or anything. So the food was great. It actually came with a side, which is kind of surprising because normally when I visit a steakhouse, you order a steak and then you order a side for the table to share. But it actually came with mashed potatoes and green beans. And then we also ordered a side of macaroni, which Paul said was 10 out of 10.
I bet. Oh, yeah, that's so fun. That sounds like a great place to visit with a kiddo. And so then just back to the hotel to get ready for the next day?
Yeah, we were pretty tired. We tried to watch a movie every single night, but never made it through the whole movie because, we were just so tired that evening. I hate being tied to a reservation, but I'm glad we did that we were able to dress up and get in the Uber together and kind of ride over there and just kind of have like a little adventure for us.
Okay, so day 2, you had some goals and then you couldn't get to everything because of a couple traffic hiccups. So tell us about your morning and the goal for the day and then how the day ended up playing out.
Our ultimate goal was to make it up to Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve. It's further north than Coronado. So you have to kind of go up the coast of San Diego, and it's at the top of the...
Like how far away ish?
It was like a 30-minute drive down the interstate.
Not too far.
Not too far. Nothing is too far. But my concern was like, I don't spend all day on the interstate or on the freeway when I'm in this beautiful city. So I kind of had ChatGPT plan a few stops for us. I think I prompted, please plan a scenic road trip from Hotel del Coronado up to Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve. And it kind of provided a few stops along the way. So our first stop we were trying to attend was the farmer's market in Little Italy. Supposedly it's really great, and we don't really have a great farmer's market close to where we live. So I thought that would be kind of a fun experience to take Cole to just kind of see the vendors and try some new things. There were a lot of events going on that day throughout the city. There was like this Comic-Con event, and there was a march and all kind of things. So we had no luck finding parking. I wasn't familiar enough to like go somewhere else to find some place to park, so we just kind of scratched that.
Yeah, so that's stressful.
It was kind of stressful, and there was just a lot of people everywhere. So I was just like, okay, let's just get on the road.
Didn't you say it was one of those No Kings Day?
Yeah, it was a
marches.
No Kings Day march. Yeah.
So there's like just tons of stuff going on, and it's probably like a little nerve-wracking, and you're like, okay, on to the next place.
On to the next one. So the next stop that we had kind of on our list was Sunset Cliffs. which that peninsula in the picture that you showed previously from the hotel, that's actually Sunset Cliffs right there. So we didn't go at sunset, but they said it was kind of a great overlook area. So we drove up there, checked it out. It was okay. If that would have been our only stop to see the cliffs and the ocean side, I would have been like, wow, that was beautiful. But it was nothing compared to Torrey Pines. So looking back, we probably could have like kind of X that, but marked it off my list. It was something on like the top things to do in San Diego, so we did it. Then we drove from there to Mission Beach because we just kind of just kind of got one of the beaches that wasn't Coronado Beach. Because there's Ocean Beach, Mission Beach, and the Pacific Beach. So I just kind of picked the one in the middle, which was Mission Beach. And of course, we drove around there, and there's this Mission Bay Fest that was going on that I didn't realize, which is like this big reggae festival, I guess kind of similar to like Jazz Fest or something in New Orleans. And there's no parking. It was just kind of chaotic. So I was like, cool, we can drive around because there were people kind of pulling in and out. And he's like, I'm good. So at that point, we just went to Walgreens, grabbed some snacks, got some road trip food, and then drove up to La Jolla. So our next stop after that was the aquarium. I had not put that on the top of our list because I wasn't sure how interested Cole would be in it. But then I let him know, I was like, there's this aquarium that has this interactive tide pool area. And he's like, well, why didn't you tell me that sooner? And I was like, okay, well, here we go. Let's go. So we went to the aquarium. We really enjoyed it. I don't know if I would recommend it if you can't get your kids in for free. So
Good
it was
point.
pretty expensive.
Okay.
It was like $40 a person, and we were maybe there an hour. So for Cole and I, and even if I would have had to pay just for him, it probably would have been worth it. But for a family of 5 or, my entire family, that's kind of pricey, I felt, for what it was.
I feel like aquariums are so hit or miss. Like some of them are amazing and some just aren't. We've been to plenty that we're like, like it's fine. But again, you're like, I don't know if I want to pay $40 plus per person. So you sent this photo of the aquarium and there's a massive skeleton in
they
the
kind of
aquarium.
had it decorated for Halloween because we were there in October. So they had this big skeleton in the exhibit, which is kind of neat. But there's also this tide pool area, which is out like on this overlook on a cliff, which just the view from there. So the photo I sent you with the cliff overview, that's from the aquarium. So inside the aquarium, they have the traditional exhibits where there's fish and starfish, and then you walk out through these doors onto this overlook that Kelsey's showing a picture of right now. And this is kind of overlooking the coastline. We're like up in a cliff, and there's an interactive tide pool area, and it has all of the animals or all the wildlife that you would traditionally see in tide pools, in nature, here on display. And you're actually able to kind of touch them and stuff like that. So one thing to note, though, about tide pooling in San Diego is a lot of the areas are protected. So they are very strict about no touch, no movement. It's like eyes only. So this kind of gave us an opportunity to kind of feel the anemones and kind of see everything that they have to offer. And I thought it was a really good introduction for Cole to kind of take a look at what he was going to be looking for when we went to visit the actual tide pool. But that was kind of the highlight, I thought, of the aquarium was the interactive tide pool exhibit. They also had penguins there, which was kind of cool, but they kind of smelled bad. But you could get like really close to them because they were like right there on the glass. Like I said, I don't have strong feelings about it, whether we have to go back or I should have skipped it. I was kind of indifferent.
Yeah, I feel like for your trip and the fact that it was set around tide pooling and that Cole was able to do an interactive tide pool, and it was a stop that, the other 2 stops were kind of like hit or miss on the way up. This was like good that you guys got it in. And look at this view I'm showing while you're at the aquarium looking the ocean. So cool. So you finish up at the aquarium, and then where are you headed next?
So we head up to Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve, which is kind of the next stop north. So each stop that we took was making our way more north up the coastline. So it's a $20 day fee to park your car there. So you enter kind of along the beach access. So you can park your car and you can actually access the beach and kind of spend the day there. There's bathrooms. It's like a state park. But we were there with the intention of hiking because, first of all, we're from South Louisiana and we do not swim in California ocean water because it is very, very cold. I wasn't really sure exactly the logistics of everything, but now looking back, I think we kind of made a good decision on how we handled it. So you have 3 options of where you park. You can either park down by the beach, you can park halfway up, or you can park all the way up at the top of the mountain. So most of the hiking trails are at the top of the mountain, and then there's one about halfway up. And we really enjoyed that trail. So we decided to just drive up, kind of check some things out. We pulled over at the first parking spot we could find, which is the trailhead of the Guy Fleming Trail. And I think this picture right here that you're showing is actually from that trail.
Okay, what's the trail called?
It's called the Guy Fleming Trail.
Guy Fleming. Okay.
Yeah. And all the trails within this reserve are considered easy or moderate. So it's nothing anybody should shy away from if you're moderately fit. You can handle anything. But this trail in particular was like super easy. It was less than a mile, and you just had an excellent bang for your buck. I mean, if you had like little children and really wanted to get that view and that experience of hiking in California, like Southern California, like this is the trail for you. And you're not having to drive all the way up to the top of the mountain. So this trail was a loop. So you started right here and you came right back out to where you started. So you saw a new view the whole way.
Very cool.
Instead of moving the car, because we weren't exactly sure what we were going to do next, we were like, well, I'd rather not park at the top and then have to like hike down and then hike back up. So we're like, let's just stay in the middle.
Yeah,
so
good plan.
we hiked up to the top where they have like 4 or 5 other trailheads. And there's also a visitor center there, some bathrooms up there as well. And I think we took the Razor something trail. And there's this red rock structure called Red Butte on this trail. And it was really pretty neat. It kind of extends up into the air about 300 feet. You can climb up onto it and just get like a big panoramic view of the ocean, of the city behind you.
Red Butte, like Red Beauty, but Red Butte?
Yes, Butte.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. Okay, cool. Like Crested Butte. Yeah, Red Butte. Okay, cool.
Yes. A rock formation. So it was really neat. We climbed up to the top, kind of spent some time there. And then after that, we had been there for a few hours, kind of exploring some things. We just walked back down to our car and headed home from there. But if I had to, if you really wanted to get like the full experience, because there's actually a trail that like you can hike down to the beach and hike along the beach, I would probably park at the base of the mountain and then hike up to the trailhead so that when you're finished your hike, you can finish at your car. But, hindsight's 2020. That's what I would recommend if you were looking to do like a full loop around all of the trails.
So you recommend parking at the bottom, hiking up, maybe doing that Guy Fleming loop, anything else up there, and then hike back down, and then you're basically at ocean level when you go back down.
Correct. Yeah. So there is a trail called the Beach Trail that exits on the beach, and you could also just walk straight to your car from there.
Okay.
So that would be a recommendation.
Nice. That sounds like a good day, though. Aquarium, Torrey Pines State Natural Reserve. And then after all your hiking, did you guys just head back to the hotel?
Yeah, we had gotten a few recommendations for meals around that area. But then after we kind of reviewed everything, let's just head back to the hotel. So we headed back, parked the car, and we walked to a little pizza place from there. Because it was just nice to be like back home. You know what I'm saying? After a day of traveling, out the car and where we need to be.
Perfect. Sounds like a great day 2. And then moving on to day 3, this is a kayak and tide pooling day, which sounds amazing. So tell us about day 3.
So day 3 was great. I didn't book the kayak tour until the night before. I wasn't sure exactly what time we would want to get up and go. So I always have these big aspirations, pre-trip. Oh, we'll be there for 9:30, get out the door and go. But I ended up booking it, I think, for 11:30. So we had plenty of time to get up and get where we needed to be because it was about a 30-minute drive from the hotel to La Jolla where the kayaking was. But we booked through a company called Everyday California. They take you out, you try to go into the cliffs, but it was too rough for us that day. There's these cliff structures. Some excursions are able to go into, but if the water was too rough that day. And also what was really neat is that we were there in the fall, and I'm not sure if this is particular to the fall, but it kind of sounded like that by the way they were talking. This area is like the highest concentration of leopard sharks in the country or the world. And it's these small sharks that have leopard-looking spots on them. They're very docile. They eat, little stuff on the ground. So you don't really have to worry about a shark attack or anything like that. But it was just really neat. You're like kayaking and there's these sharks all around you. And it was just so beautiful. The water was so clear. You can look down.
Cool.
And the guide kind of takes you through different areas of the cove that you're kayaking in. So like one area is like real sandy, and then another area has like a lot of kelp. So there's like different wildlife down there. So there was also an option to book the snorkel trip with it too, but I asked Cole and he said he didn't want to. So I don't know if it was because of the sharks and stuff like that, or if he was concerned about the water being cold. We rented wetsuits, so really we would have been fine. But he wasn't too interested in snorkeling. So we did the kayak tour, which ended up taking almost like 2.5 hours. It was tiring. And then after that, we headed to tide pooling.
When I was in San Diego, I did a tour like this. I don't remember which company it was. It was awesome. I loved it. I definitely think if you've got like older kiddos, this is a great way to spend a few hours. I don't remember seeing sharks. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But I do vaguely remember the cliff situation, and like it was really wavy, but like we did it and like
Oh, really?
trying to navigate in and out. Yeah, I like vaguely remember that. That's kind of cool. But
Yeah.
how did your 12-year-old do kayaking like on the whole thing and towards the end?
He was okay. He helped. I don't know if I think,
Oh, were you guys together?
yeah, we were tandem. So you
Okay,
have to be, I
perfect.
can't remember what the age is, maybe over 16 to be able to not
Okay.
be tandem.
Okay.
So he was in the front, I was in the back. Yeah, that would have made me really nervous. But he was kind of anxious about it. Like we were kind of moving away from the instructor, and he was like, "Mom, we need to get closer. We need to get closer." And I'm like,
Yeah.
We got it." But I think you can actually take children at 6. I don't know if I would feel comfortable bringing my child that young out there. It was great for his age, and probably I'd say my 9-year-old would. My 7-year-old's pretty tough. He would have done it as well. But I don't know if I would have done it if it was just my 7-year-old and myself. Like my 7-year-old
Yeah.
would have tagged along with all of us, but it probably wouldn't have been an ideal trip for him because he would have been like, "Oh, I'm tired," you know. But
Yeah.
my 12-year-old was a trooper, and he really, really enjoyed that as well.
Yeah, those third children, they just get thrown into stuff that they're not ready for. And you're like, I'm sorry, we're kayaking.
Yeah.
Get in. Okay, so then you're headed to tide pools in La Jolla. Tell us about where they are, how you found them.
I had just done a little Googling, Reddit, all the traditional research, ChatGPT of tide pool areas in San Diego. And the number one area that came up was the La Jolla area. So actually the first thing I did was I went on Viator and I booked a tour because my concern was that we show up, I don't know what I'm looking for. There's people everywhere. Am I looking at the right thing? Am I here at the right time? So I was like, let's just book this tour. So I booked this tour with a guy called, I think, Snorkel Matt was his name.
Wait,
And
what was his name?
Snorkel Matt, like
Snorkel Matt.
yeah, Snorkel
Okay.
Matt. So he was
wait,
great.
mask or
No,
Matt?
Matt, like the boy name, Matthew.
The boy. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Snorkel Matt. Okay.
Yeah, he was a marine biologist, very knowledgeable. So we met up with him at I think 3:00. So he took us kind of on a tour of the area, and he had like a meetup spot and kind of showed us some things. But we
Was
actually
it just the two of you?
well,
with
it was
him?
supposed to be us and like 6 other people, but the other people didn't show up. So yeah.
Oh, private tour.
Yeah. Well, there's one other lady, but it was very,
okay.
very private. Yeah. So yeah, that's an anemone that we saw, which is really cool.
That is cool.
I didn't realize how much fun it was going to be. You know, just kind of looking through these different little tide pools and seeing all the wildlife. And he kind of explained the different areas of the shore had different types of wildlife based off of the height and the depth, different things and different feeding options that are available and stuff like that. So it was really, really interesting. Cole enjoyed it. I'm
Yeah.
really happy we did that as well. But we actually showed up there about 1:30 because I figured, like, worst case scenario, we wander around for a little while and then we meet up with our tour guide. But we actually did a whole bunch of tide pooling ourselves before we met up with Snorkel Matt. Low tide was 2:55 that day, and the best time to tide pool is like 1 hour before and 1 hour after the low tide for the day. So this tide pooling adventure is very dependent on the tides for the day. So the reason why I chose the last day to tide pool was because that was the day with the lowest tide. So I figured we have the best opportunity to see more wildlife and things like that.
How did you figure that out? How far in
There's
advance
a
can
tide
you?
chart, and actually
Okay.
it's posted pretty far in advance. I'm not sure. I'm not a scientist. I'm not sure how they come up with these tides and stuff like that. But honestly, if this day wouldn't have come up, we probably wouldn't have even really been able to do this activity because the 2 days prior, there was not even close to a like zero tide. So we might not even been able to access these areas.
Is it like a designated tide pooling area, or is it just a very natural area that you're just parking kind of on the side of the road or in a parking lot and just walking out into nature, or is it more organized? Like, what's it like when you show up?
It's kind of like showing up to a public beach. So there's road parking, and then there's some stairways down to it, and everybody just kind of goes and checks it out. Some people had like tents set up and chairs, and they were kind of hanging out, and their children were kind of playing in some of the areas. So I guess that's the best comparison that I can make, is that it was very similar to like just showing up to a public beach, kind of finding your spot, walking around, checking things out. After we left this place, there was one other place that was recommended to us by the tour guide for our kayak tour. And she's like, well, it's a little further north. It's a little more difficult to access, but they have some excellent wildlife over there. So we finished up here, and Cole, I was like, Cole, do you want to go check it out? And he's like, yeah, let's go. So, we just hopped in the car. We drove up a little further north, had to park the car, and we actually had to walk maybe half a mile to get to this place. But we saw like starfish. I think that actually an enemy picture that you showed was actually from that other location as well. I mean, we saw an enemy at the other place too, but it was great. I'm glad we got to go check it out. But I wouldn't recommend that second location for somebody who has like small children that wants to kind of show them what a tide pool is, because we had to park, we had to walk, we had to kind of climb over rocks and stuff like that. Like that was an adventure, as opposed to this tide pool area. It was more family friendly. I think there was like a stairwell that kind of walked right down to it, and you're able to just kind of walk around and check things out.
Do you remember what the second place that was more adventurous was called?
It was north of Scripps Pier. So there's this pier that goes out into the ocean that's like a research facility, and it's right north of there. So we parked right near the pier and walked down. But there are people like taking pictures out there, like family photos, and there's surfers. There's like a lot of activity around there, but it was really cool. We got a good San Diego vibe too.
Yeah,
kind of checking out all the locals. It looks like a more local area than a tourist area for sure.
We'll put both of those tide pooling spots in the show notes. And then I had one other question about tide pooling. You had said earlier that these areas are very protected, which makes perfect sense. Are there any rules? Are they like, you can't touch anything? Can you only look? Like with a bunch of kids playing, I'm like, how are they protected, and what are the rules?
Yeah. So the first area that we went to, the La Jolla tide pools, those were not in a protected area. So I think that's why so many people actually kind of go there. And that's the reason why our tour guide plans his tours there, because he's actually able to kind of touch things and show them to people and stuff like that. The other location near the research institute, there's signs everywhere that says the protected area, do not touch the wildlife, do not remove the wildlife from their habitat. Taking anything back with you is considered theft. There's just like warnings all over the place. I mean, I'm not sure who's enforcing this, but those are the rules.
Got it. Well, that sounds like an amazing day of tide pooling for your last day in San Diego. So then this evening, did you just head back to the hotel as well?
Yeah, we actually did a repeat of day two. We had headed back to the hotel, went to the same pizza restaurant, but Cole liked it, and it was right across the street, and it was relaxing, and we were tired, and we had a busy travel day the next day. So we went back to the hotel and had pizza. Then we showered, packed up, and got ready to head home the next day.
And we'll say the pizza place they kept going to is called Village Pizzeria, which was walkable. So if anybody needs an easy pizza spot, Village Pizzeria is where it's at. Another thing you had mentioned in your notes was that you noticed the weather was just amazing in October in California.
Yeah. So supposedly the summertime is not the best time to visit San Diego weather-wise. They have what's called a June gloom, where it's real cloudy sometimes and maybe windy. But I mean, we did not see a cloud in the sky the whole time we were there. It was absolutely beautiful. 50s in the morning, in the evening, 70, 75 in the middle of the day. I mean, no humidity, no bugs. It was wonderful. It was a great time to visit.
And October sounds like such a great spot with this kids enter things free. The weather's great. So this is piquing my interest for future fall breaks. Do you want to shout out the travel agent that helped you plan this?
Sure. My cousin Catherine, her name's Catherine Boulay. She works with Explore Tour, and she was great. Yeah, she booked the hotel. She helped plan the rental car. I kind of handled like our adventures, but I was really grateful for her help.
Okay, we'll put her information in the show notes. And then did travel home the next day go smoothly?
Yeah, we had a little delay heading home. Our flight got delayed about 30, 40 minutes, but everything else was fine. We flew Southwest, and it went fine.
Perfect. What was your favorite part about taking a one-on-one trip with your oldest?
I think just getting to see his personality outside of our normal day-to-day experience of life. I drop him off at school. We do homework together, and I see him interacting with his brothers, but just to see him interacting as himself and having those like conversations and talking about the things that he was interested in and learning about him and seeing the person he's becoming like that was really, really fun. And to kind of see his personality kind of come through because, you know, I kind of sometimes watch from a distance when he's with his friends and kind of see how he acts. And I just want him to feel comfortable with me all the time. You know, I'm his mom and to be able to
Yes.
like get an environment kind of away from all the external influences and stuff like that, where he can just be a kid and be himself and hang out with his mom was really, really great.
I love it. Well, this is the second mother son trip that we have on Trip Tales. The other one was actually also to California to Universal Studios and to see the Mariners, I think, play. But I love these mother son trips. Okay, Elizabeth, I end every episode the same way. So I'm going to ask you the final question. If someone out there is considering this trip, what is it about San Diego that would make you say, just book it?
So if you want a convenient travel destination that's like equal parts adventure and luxury, then San Diego is the place for you. Like as soon as you touch down, you're immersed in all that San Diego has to offer. The airport is literally on the bay. You hop in your car and you can just take off and be wherever you want to be in about 30 minutes. It's not a huge travel day. I mean, getting from your home location to San Diego is the travel day, but once you're there and you're on vacation and it was wonderful.
Sounds amazing. You've definitely piqued my interest for next October. Thank you so much for joining today and sharing about your mother son trip.
Oh, well, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. And for everybody listening, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Trip Tales and tune in next week for another fun adventure.